Alright guys, doing this video. I thought this one would be fun because I got to use my awesome art skills. This is basically somewhat of a follow-up to my last video on live chat. We're talking about conversion rate optimization. We're talking about live chat. And I mentioned I would go deeper into a little bit of the automation behind what we are now doing with some of the text-based live chat. So I wanted to share this together with you and kind of do some fun drawings. And it was my first time using a Google Jamboard. I've only ever heard of it one other time, so I decided to try and use it to make this a little bit of fun for you. Well, hopefully fun for you guys, definitely fun for me. So let's just jump right in. So to recap really briefly, in the first video or last video, however you want to look at it, I did a talking about conversion rate optimization. This is our website, and we use a text-based live chat. So that's this guy right here. You see there's a really handsome guy image right here. That's why we convert so well. Anyway, the idea with this live chat is that when somebody fills it in, unlike a web-based live chat, if I put in my name, a mobile number, and a message, and hit send, this now becomes, for the person filling this out, a text message conversation, start to finish. So they fill this out, and basically, I'll have a chance to respond to them within our system. I do that from a mobile app or from my desktop, depending on wherever I'm at that moment. So it's very convenient. But now what we can do, what I'm going to show you, is some of the automation behind not only this, but also some other things that we're doing. So let's just talk about like a few areas we could use this. So because this is now being pulled into our system that we use for it, there's multiple systems that could do similar things. So I don't want you to get hung up on the technology. The idea is the point behind it. What we're able to do now, and for some clients, we basically will have a live chat come in, and immediately, I should have probably put some timestamps in here. So like immediately within, let's just say, just gonna put some different color, 30 seconds. Woo, look how nice. 30 seconds. I'm gonna try to spell it out, but 30 seconds. Oh my gosh, that was horrible. Within 30 seconds or so, we're going to automatically send out a message to that prospect. And so this is going to happen from a live chat. Somebody just fills out a live chat. Somebody fills out a contact form, right? Because I'll explain why in a minute. And then if there's a missed call. So you like my phone? This is some of you guys aren't even old enough to know this is actually what a phone used to look like with a rotary dial. Yeah, it's pretty dang old, but I did pretty good actually, right? With some shapes. Anyway, so if people miss a call, they can get a similar message. It'll be worded a little bit differently from a missed call, because we won't say we just got your quote request. We'll say we just saw a missed call. And I'll talk about the verbiage in a minute. But basically the idea is that somebody has connected with your business. Why not buy a little bit of time? Because if you're not Johnny on the spot responding to them right away, what will typically happen is a person will continue to search. So we do Google Ads all the time, as you probably already know. If somebody's doing a search for the best plumber or whatever, and they click on one of our ads, which no doubt for somebody like a plumber, they're pretty darn expensive clicks, and they get there, and let's say they go through and they fill out a live chat, or they fill out a form, or they call and they don't get an answer, the chances of them waiting around for you to respond before they go on to the next search result and call the next person is slim to none. And the time that you have to get that person to wait for you or whatever is very, very low. And so something like this, where it's 30 seconds or maybe even less, depending on how important it is, how emergency related it is, give you an opportunity to basically buy yourself some more time. So it's very rare that people who use the system, our clients, respond in faster than 30 seconds. One or two times it has. And I've just told my guys, just give us 30 seconds to get the first message out, so whatever, but that's very, very rare. So in this case, if you look at the message, it says, hey, first name, I'm just gonna use my information. This is Dustin from PPC Pros. I just saw your quote request. I'll give you a call back in a few minutes, from this number. Okay, so if somebody was just told that they're going to get a call back in a few, then they may want to hold off on calling the next person, because they feel like, okay, I called this business or this person, I wanted to speak to them, or I wanted to chat with them. In this case, you might say, I'll chat with you back in a few, I'll text you back, or whatever you want to say. but we'll give them a chance to respond before we maybe go on to the next person. So just buying ourselves a few extra minutes can be a huge win. And actually, I'll pause this and show you why right now. Okay, so a study that Vendasta, which is a marketing software company, either they're pulling from or they did. I've seen this ad around for a while, and this is not very new. You can tell by the graphics here. It basically states that if you take longer than 5 minutes to respond to a lead, you have an 80% decrease in the chance you'll actually qualify them. So for people who are looking to actually speak to leads and actually get a qualified person out of it, then you need to be Johnny on the spot within 5 minutes or less typically. And there's another interesting thing that they mentioned here. Sales conversions are higher, much higher, like almost 400% higher in the first minute. So again, we're putting together a 30-second kind of delay, so it's like a real thing, but it could be less. So we get to them in the first minute. And then this is something that actually, when I used to be in real estate over a decade ago, I remember this being the case as well. When you, like basically 78% of the people who talk to a realtor go with the first one that they talk to. And this is literally the same exact study, so I wonder if I just didn't read it closely enough and that's where it's coming from, but it doesn't look like it. So here's 3 stats, right? You've got one that says in 5 minutes, you got a 20% chance of actually qualifying that person. In 1 minute, you got a 400% chance of actually making a conversion happen. And if you're the first person they talk to, you've got a really good chance of getting at least a good crack at the business, right? All right, so let's jump back into our beautiful artwork here. So what we want to do is make sure that we have that first contact happen within 30 seconds or less, give or take. We also want to make sure they know our name. They know what company we're texting them from. This is a brand new number that they're not going to know. And we also mention the phone number we're going to call them back from. Now, some of our clients use our system. You can dial out from it on your phone, on a desktop, whatever. And that's fine. You don't have to put a phone number then. You would just say something like, I'll give you a call back in a few, and that's it. But we put the number here because another contact rate killer is the fact that people don't recognize the number. They don't answer the phone. They could have just filled out a form 2.5 seconds ago, and if they don't recognize that phone number that you're calling them from, they are not going to pick it up a lot of times. Then you're into the whole phone tag thing, which usually doesn't go very well because a lot of you guys don't call people back more than once, and if you do, it's like twice, and like that's it ever. And then you say the lead quality is not good. And sometimes it isn't, but a lot of times it's because it takes more than 1 call or 2 calls to get somebody to do something. Anyway, so this is what we do during hours. Now, again, if somebody fills out a contact form, we'll say something like this. I just got your quote request. Like maybe it's a contact or a quote form that they filled out on the website. It's a live chat. You might say, hey, I just saw your live chat. I'll give you a call back in a few. And they might, respond back. And we do have people that respond back to these automatic texts and say, thank you. Oh, wait, no, I'm at work. Or, hey, can you call me after 5? Or, hey, can you just answer this question? And so now we have a chance to know when to speak to them. Because sometimes they'll tell us, hey, I'm at work, call me after 5. Okay, cool. Now you're not going to call around and waste a bunch of time. You know to call them after 5. Or using our system or your own phone, I guess, you could text them back again and say, hey, I was going to call you a few minutes early, or I just want to confirm 5 o'clock is good, blah, 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 right? The big thing here is that we're automating the first contact, we're increasing our contact rate, and we're helping you have a chance of closing these people, or at least opening these people and talking to them using automation, which takes no effort on your part, or your staff. And a lot of times your staff is not as you think they are, unfortunately, and they're human just like the rest of us, so things happen. They get busy, they're on another call, they can't be Johnny on the spot. But using automation, we can be. Another aspect of this for like missed calls. Sometimes, depending on what kind of company this is, we'll do a missed call kind of text, and we'll say something like, hey, we just saw we missed your call. I'll give you a call back in a few, or you can tell me how, or you can shoot me a text, let me know how I can help. Something to that effect. So slightly different verbiage in this. And this works the same for Google My Business. Now there's Google My Business chat. Somebody does something there. You have a specific message for that medium, Facebook Messenger, Instagram. And then for like the times like in the middle of the night or the weekends, the times you guys are not in the office or clients are not in the office, we'll basically have a very similar message. We might just say something like, I'm at the office, but we'll give you a call back in the AM from this number. Or I'm at the office, I'll give you a call back first thing in the morning. Just depends. So you can work some office hour stuff in here. But in terms of automation, this is a really, really easy way, in my opinion, to help convert the leads better. So is it conversion optimization from a traffic perspective? Not necessarily, except having like a live chat option that you wouldn't normally have is one way we talked about in the last video. But once we get those people coming in, once we get people filling out forms, once our staff is missing phone calls, and it happens a lot more than you think most of the time, then how do we monetize those people? These are good leads. You spend money on them. Maybe they're referrals from existing customers. Maybe they found you organically. Maybe they found you because of your newspaper ad. Who knows? But you finally have your chance. They finally reached out to your company. And a lot of people, it takes more than 24 hours for you to call them back, especially these contact form people and missed calls. The live chat is a little bit easier because it's a little bit easier to see them in some cases. But a lot of people do not call back their missed calls. They don't listen to their voicemails, at least not fast enough. And for contact forms, it's almost like a dead medium sometimes. People just don't get back to them fast enough. Or they might get the initial message of, hey, they'll get an automatic email that says, hey, I got your quote, but nothing along the lines of a text where, generally speaking, you're going to get a much better open rate, a much better response rate, a lot faster than you will with email. Email might go to junk. It might just, whatever. They give you a crap email. I guess they can give you a crap phone number too. But the point of it is, I think with texting, you'll get a much better, speed to response rate. It's a lot easier to have a conversation. So these are a few things you can do for automation. What are some other things you can do? So another thing that we worked on is a quote follow-up request, where maybe like now we're talking about just opening up a lead. So maybe you have a company that does estimates and quotes or whatever it is, and you want to follow up with that person. So you went to their house, you gave them a quote, or you gave them an estimate. Now what? Here's what usually happens, depending on how busy you are, which right now a lot of home services are very busy, but depending on how busy you are, you probably never follow up with that person more than maybe once. And so as a business owner, you spent a lot of time, or even just as a person doing the estimate, you spent a lot of time going to this person's house, you scoped out the job, you spent however much time it took to put an estimate together. You sent the estimate over. Maybe you followed up with them to make sure they got the estimate. And then what happens? That's it. It's the last time you hear from them. There's no follow-up. If there is, it's maybe one time, but it's not systematic and it's not automatic. And what happens is, unfortunately, a lot of your guys are so busy that, let's say they're getting 100 leads a month, or, even 100 leads a week sometimes. How are you going to follow up with those leads after a week or 2 weeks or a month? Chances are going to be so busy with the new leads, you're just not going to be able to do a great job following up on the old ones. And when I say leads, I should say people you've given an estimate to, which are a little bit better than leads. They're more like prospects, right? They're definitely probably qualified depending on whether or not you thought it was worth doing the estimate. So that's just another area where you can potentially have a process in place that leverages some form of automation to help humans do their job better. And of course, everybody wins because your staff doesn't get overwhelmed with having to be Johnny on the spot with the response, like in this case, or following up on all these old estimates and leads in that case. So there's a bunch of other things you can do. I'm going to end the video here. But automation in business can really help. And my personal way to look at it is if there's something that, humans don't have to do, and that we can use automation to help with that human's day and that workflow, and automation can do a way better job of being consistent about it, then it just makes sense to do it. I would never just trust automation to do 100% of everything all the time. That's not the way I work, but I do think for things like sending out an automatic text that has a friendly message, they're always going to get that friendly message. You don't have to hope that the person took the time to type out what you want to tell them or whatever it is. And of course, we use templates for some of this stuff. We can give people templates if they want to respond in real time. But the point is you can have a very consistent messaging, very consistent timing on your messaging, and have a lot more control, which just leads to, closing a few more deals every month at least, typically speaking. So hope that was helpful. Went a little longer than I expected, but hope you like my artwork. And if you think you can do a better job drawing in a Jamboard, then I challenge you. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.